Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm going to be walking you guys through using Jabali Studio, which you can kind of see on my screen right now. So, Jabali Studio is our creative game authoring tool and engine that will help you build games. The goal of today's masterclass is to show you how you can communicate clearly with the studio and our co-pilot agent Bali so that you can generate the game that you have in mind faster, uh, iterate smarter, and then kind of keep creative control uh, while our tool and authoring system fills in the gaps. So, a little note about why we have the studio and why Jabali exists as such. So, larger game studios generally ship games and they have specialists for everything. They have specialists for art, systems, game design, writing, production, and so on and so forth. But indie developers and smaller groups don't really have those teams. You might be great at like a couple of disciplines, game design, technical writing, music design, and so on, but not necessarily all of them at the same time. And that's kind of where Jabali Studio and Bali as your co pilot comes in. So we want you to think of Bali as like a producer who can spin up helper agents and spin up the rest of the team, trying to fill in the gaps that you're missing. And kind of you lead with the tasks and the intent and like the creative ideas. And our agent and Bali will help fill in these gaps that are missing to a certain extent and kind of fulfill your game. So to start with, let's take a look at what the studio really looks like. So this is kind of the home screen of the studio. This is where you can kind of test an idea out. We also have, we know about blank page syndrome. So we also have the suggest an idea that will give you a bunch of different game ideas that you can kind of start with. So you type in what it is that you're trying to build, and then from there, you can either choose an existing template that we have, and I'll go through templates in a bit, or you can like just choose to wipe code and then start building it from scratch. You can also see that some of your recent projects, the most recent ones, are kind of showcased over here. You can go and view all the projects that you've worked on in the Your Projects panel on the left. So here you'll see that I've had some games which are like more templatized interactive story games, but then again, I've built a bunch of games that are more like 3D games or using wipe code or 2D platformer games or even like a card game in here and so on. So what do these like template games look like? So to give you like a starter and how kind of Jabali fits in, we have an ever expanding set of templates here. So these are like just the basic building blocks that you can start with and then kind of take your own spin on it, make some changes, and make the game that's really suited to you and to what you have in mind. So, for instance, we have like a block breaking arcade game, or a slots game, or a trivia game, monster chase game, and so on and so forth. But that's not what we're going to be overviewing today. We're going to be actually kind of going with a vibe code approach and building our own game from scratch. But yeah, this is just to give you an outline of like, here's some other things that are possible with our existing templates. You can also take a look at the games that the community is building or playing right now. So, one really cool thing about Jabali is that you can use our platform, both the web as well as Studio, to not only build the game that you're kind of trying to build, but also publish these games and then kind of get an audience of people who can then play the games for you right in one place. So here's some of the games that people are either building in the community or have built recently in the community or are playing right now. And then finally, we're also curating a list of uh, tutorials that we are hoping will help you kind of start using Jabali Studio from scratch. And these tutorials are kind of curated all the way from like starting with a simple template idea or going all the way to like more complex games that you want to build from scratch with AI, whether it's in Phaser or Godot and so on and so forth. And if there are any more tutorials that you guys are looking for, always feel free to reach out to us on our Discord channel and we'll try to like add those in and um, help you kind of enable you to make the games that you want. So for now, let's take a look at what are some of the possibilities that we have with games. So to start with, let's take a look at like a simple template game that I edited a while back to make it kind of a more interesting game. So when you open any game and an existing game in Jabali Studio, what you'll find is that you have like a preview screen that's right here. So this is where you see what the game looks like right now, and you should be able to like test that game. So as you can see, I'm like moving the player character around or like playing the game through and so on. You also have an assets screen that's on top. So this shows you all the assets that Bali generated for you with your obviously co-creative input to make this game possible. These assets can include like images, audio, anything actually, honestly, 3D models, and so on. We have a layout screen. So this is basically, since this is a Godot game, what you'll see is there are like these scene components that are in here. And so that kind of shows you how all these assets are, like whether it's the menu assets or the main game assets, are kind of running. And then finally, you have like the main, like the meaty part of the code, which I guess is the scripts. And this is kind of where Bali will kind of help you write a lot of the scripts. So we have a lot of GD scripts that you'll see here, maybe some JSON files and so on that can be edited by you. So these files are created for you initially by Bali. However, you can always go in and then like change something within that or fix something with Bali and then save those files and then run the game again, build the game again. And once you rebuild the game, those changes should now be live in your real game. On the left here, you see the conversation that you have with Bali, or the conversation that you had throughout this game building process. And so you'll see that if everything that Bali has kind of created with you and the entire context of your game development process is shown over here. So you can see all the changes that I requested when I was like making the game. I said, okay, I want the bats to be brighter, or I want like replace this obstacle with like gold accents for contrast, or change the poster, or add a new creepy crawly insect, and so on and so forth, or add a new spider and whatever. So that's a small look at like one of our templates games. But let's take a look at more like what is the possibilities that we have over here. So let's start with a look at this one actually. So this is a game that I was trying to make, which is kind of similar to the alchemy games of the past, if you remember playing those, where you can kind of mix two different elements together and then it would create a different element. So water and lava don't have a reaction, but fire and water should create, okay, steam, and so on and so forth. And so this is like a game where I created it in phaser, you can see, compared to like the earlier game which we were looking at in Godot. There's like a little screen here which tells you what elements you've discovered, your progress, your score, and so on. In the scripts, you can see that we have different like the files that they've created for phaser, including like the main JS file with all the logic in there, as well as like the elements JSON file where I separated out all the elements that could be discovered, as well as like the recipes that made those elements. So like fire and water became steam, and so on and so forth. And so as you can see, you can kind of add to this or even like riff off on these games and make it like more movie based or book based or so on. Let's take a look at another one. So one that I made most recently, I guess, is this one. So this one's called Tashkar. So the idea was you don't see a lot of Indian card games on like that are playable online, and I was trying to see whether I could make like a really fun card game that my friends and I could play. And so this is more simple because it's like a 2D card game, but it was an interesting and complex build to explain to the AI, because these are not games that are typically very well known. They are very like unique Indian card games. So in this case, the interesting thing with Black Queen is depending on the number of players, there are like the number of decks increases that you're using. So you can use like a 3 deck game if you have like 9 players or more, or so on and so forth. And then as the decks and the number of players changes, you also have to remove, there has to be some logic on like which cards get removed from the deck and therefore are not existing in the game. So all of that had to be explained to the AI, as well as like who would be kind of playing the game, like the different players, where they would sit, how to kind of deal the cards out in like a fair way, how bidding worked in the game, and so on. So that was a really fun game to build. I ended up building like a game where just the other players are all AI players. So you can see here that this person Ishan won the bid, and he called the trump as a heart trump, and he asked that the king of hearts would be his partner. So right now he played the Queen of Hearts, which is worth 30 points, which the AI knows. And Bhavya is going to get get this particular one. So you can see that her score has now increased and she's going to start the next round, and so on and so forth. So this was like a really fun game to build with all the trump logic and the bidding logic and so on. And so again, over here, you can see that this is actually an interesting example, because here I started with a very detailed game design document. And you'll find that having a detailed game design document, whether you ask Bali to make one for you or whether you provide it yourself, will kind of help the AI tune your game better and kind of implement what you have in mind better. So in this example, because this is a very specific to India and the region that I'm in game, I provided a game design document. I specifically explained all the rules of the game, like how many points for each of the cards, how the shuffle worked, how the bidding worked, how the partner reveal and the secret partners worked, and everything. So I tried to like make as detailed a document as I could, as though I was explaining the game to someone who's never played the game before. And then the AI kind of took over and made the game that you saw. I also specified, and this was kind of fun, I also specified that I want this game to have like a multitude of other Indian games that I would add. So it built that, keeping in mind scaling the game to include more games in the future. So you can see that right now we have just Black Queen as a game possibility. But in the future, maybe we add in like, I don't know, 532 or one of the other Indian games that we kind of play. So yeah, so this was a really interesting one where we had like a very detailed game document that I provided. Let's take a look at another game, and then we'll start looking at some of the prompting and things that we can do right now. So let's see this one. Okay, actually, I wanted to show you these two. So these two were interesting. This was my first test of a 3D game where I was trying to see what a floor is lava concept could look like. And then this is like the final floor is lava game that I ended up building because I changed the art direction and game direction completely. So you can see when I started, I was just trying to figure out what it is that would be possible and what the AI really could do in a 3D game. And the idea was that the lava at the bottom will keep rising, but you have to go from one platform to the other. There are different obstacles. I managed to get it to create obstacles that rotate slowly, platforms that move, orbs that are glowing that you can collect for like power ups or gold or whatever in here. Um, and so that was a fun trial level, but then I decided that it was more interesting to me to create this moody floor is lava game instead. So let's take a look at that one, and then I can show you some of the prompting that went into that. So yeah, so this is the final floor is lava game that I built. So it was more like multiple multiple buildings or whatever a city is basically under, I don't know, a lava attack. And so each time you jump, the lava increases. And when you reach the final platform, I don't know that I made the levels as interesting. like I died. Fine. But when you reach the final platform, it comes back with like a new level for you, going in a different direction. The city expands, and you keep kind of going from one place to another. Eventually, you can land on top of a building for safety and so on. So this was kind of a fun 3D one for me. You can kind of see that over it took quite a lot of prompting to get here. One of the things, like some of the issues that I noticed really early on in the game, is it was really hard to see that the lava was increasing as you went on and on in the game, because it's also glowy and bright. And so I had to over time ask the AI to come back with more like building textures that would have windows in them, because then it was very clear once the windows were covered with lava that the lava was actually kind of going up in the game. So you can kind of see the lava actually rise now on when you watch it across the windows of the game. It also did take a lot of like trial and error to get make sure that things were overlapping. I had some debugging and UI debugging that I had to do, where I said like, okay, now can you add a double jump action? It was like, okay, this was not working. Can you reduce the brightness slightly? The score stopped updating. Can you make sure see what the issue is? And it would like figure out, okay, now this is the issue with the score updating, so on and so forth. So yeah, these were the eventual building textures that it came back with. Um, let's see. Yeah. Sorry. Does anyone have any questions so far before we go to the next set of things?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's been a while since I used this. It has changed a lot.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
That's good to hear. We're in a process of continually updating the tools that we provide, both from the artificial intelligence, like the AI side of things, as well as from the UX side of things, with the goal to make game authoring a more democratized process. So we're constantly, even if you download the studio right now, you'll see that every now and then you'll see a banner here that shows that you can update the studio, and we're constantly fixing bugs that come up and adding new features that we're hoping will enable you to make better games.
What you say? Sorry, I'm signing in. Studio? What is that studio thing?
Right. So the studio is our creative game authoring tool and engine that helps you build games. So the goal of this whole masterclass is to actually show you how you can communicate effectively with the studio and with our co-pilot agent Bali, to generate games faster, and
Oh.
kind of keep the creative control with you while the
What can
studio and
I what can I create in this studio? Everything?
yeah, I mean, at the moment, we have a lot of like 2D games that are possible. So this is kind of what I was
Uh-huh.
showing right now, about, like the variety of games that you can create. But honestly, you're limited by. We also allow you to like upload your own 3D or 2D assets that might be used in Studio to create your own games. So you're pretty much limited by what it is that you're kind of imagining that you want from the game, and the idea that you have of the game.
Uh-huh.
So like this was a good example of like an initial 3D game that I built. We can take a look at some others so that you can see like the variety of games possible also. So one example is this one that I built last night, and I can show you a really cool thing with this one that I built, which is so I was going for like a load runner style game, where the character kind of walks around, collects things. The enemies are not working yet, but where the character walks around, collects keys or collects items, and so on. And so one of the things that I realized when I was kind of building this game was that it was really hard to explain to the AI over and over again, okay, where I wanted ladders or didn't want ladders in the
Okay,
new levels. So
if I
for
may
example,
ask, sorry, if I may ask, is the studio based on Godot?
so right now we support Godot and Phaser, but we have plans in the future to kind of add to the engines that we support.
Ooh.
So this game, specifically the one that I'm showing you right now, as well as the 3D game from before, was built in
Mhm.
Godot.
But how
So
much is it, this thing? Do I have to pay for something? Premium or something?
so those questions, I think Pushkar or maybe Tofik and Vatsal, could you maybe answer those in the chat so that they're just there? I think we also have pricing and so on our website with details for the same.
Okay.
But yeah, at the moment, at least we're supporting Godot and Phaser, but hopefully in the future we'll kind of support a few more games that are possible. Oh, I got stuck, so definitely messed up over there. Okay, but the point is, hopefully, yeah, hopefully we can show you that you can make any game that you're hopefully imagining, and kind of go with that. So yeah, as I was saying, with this particular game, the issue that I was having was that it was really difficult and a little annoying for me to be able to tell the AI exactly what the levels should look like that were possible. So for instance, I let me go up a little bit and I'll show you. So I had to say something like extend this ladder from this coordinate to this coordinate, make sure that it overlaps the platform, make sure when the character goes there, all these things happen. And that kind of was very annoying for me. So what I did instead, and I'll just show you, was very late last night just to make it easier for
Oh, it's
myself.
just early access.
So, yeah, right now we're on early access. And so, what I did last night was create this level editor, which would let me kind of design different levels and move things around a little bit easier without having to worry about explaining the same thing to the AI. So now I have like a little fake level editor built for myself, which lets me like add ladders or add gold or add more enemies around and so on. And then once I'm done with actually generating all my levels and building all my levels, I can either ask the Bali agent, who's our co-pilot agent, to remove access to the level editor, or maybe I could like give the level editor to my players as like, okay, here's the base levels that I've created for you, build your own levels, kind of expand the game, and so on and so forth. And like the changes that you make in the level editor when you save it, they actually become uh, like saved in the real game, so then you can actually play
Can
those levels.
I can I upload custom voices or models?
Yes, you can upload custom voices. And so one of the things that we have in here is all these assets that are used to make the games. So these assets
Yeah.
right now for this particular game are just images. However, you can also upload audio files, you can generate audio files for yourself, you can ask Bali to generate music, voices, so on and so forth. We
Ooh.
have capabilities for all of those things. You can also explore and look at all the scripts for the same. So, can we add a checkpoint to the studio so that we can go back to a version of the game instead of restoring every single file individually? In case I've broken my game and I don't know which scripts I should roll back. So, yes, that's from Arya. Yes, Arya, we're actually working on that feature right now. So at the moment, the best way to go back to an existing checkpoint, and I can just show that to you in this game that I was talking about with the load runner game. So whenever you hit publish, it's going to publish a new version of the game, and it's sort of a checkpoint. At any point of time, if you want to go back to an earlier published version of the game, you can. So that would revert all the files to that published version. However, if you want obviously an existing file, like a single file to roll back, then you can see the saved checkpoints for that file and the edits made in that file, and then change those ones accordingly. So for instance, let's take a look at maybe like the main menu.godot. So when you go to your, like, here's an example of like the main menu script that was written for this particular game. So when you go to details, you can see in the history, these are all the changes that were made in the main menu script. So you can see that last night, the last change I made was adding the level editor so that I could more easily design my levels in the future. And I can always go back to that previous version if I want to. Uh, but yeah, if you publish your game, then you can roll back the entire game to an earlier published version. We're working on making the checkpoints a little more user friendly and easy to understand. So hopefully you'll see improvements from us on that aspect too. Does that answer your question, Arya?
Wait, what? So I'm just starting to create my own.
Sure. So let's say make let's say I'm going to generate a new poster for this starting screen. Generate a poster image that can be used as the
Wait,
background for the start
is
screen.
it? This is based on the studio is based on Godot, right?
So it's based on, so you can either use Godot right now or you can use Phaser as one of the available engines. And we'll be adding more engines in the future.
Yeah.
So you can see that this generated a poster for the game. I'm quite happy with the poster. It fits the vibe that I was going for in the game. So we're going to create that poster image. Okay, so now I want to say use the generated poster as the background image in the start screen. So it's going to read the start screen, try to figure out where it's getting everything from. Mhm.
Okay, how am I supposed to do this?
So let's
It's not
see if
working.
it worked. Hold on.
Hmm.
Okay, so in this case, this is a good example of a little bit of debugging that we're going to have to do on the fly. So even though Bali thinks it added the poster, we don't see it. So you can specify that. I don't see the poster on the start screen.
Oh, you use cloudy.
I just see a dark green background color instead.
Sorry. Why can I not see the preview?
Mhm.
It's not showing anything.
So it's trying again.
Hmm.
Nope, still the issue. I still don't see poster on the start screen. Um, see, this was the confusion. So that was an easy enough thing to confuse. So Bali called this scene the main menu scene and not the start scene. So now it's changing that and updating the main menu scene instead. So let's see if it works this time. So yeah, you have to be a little specific when you prompt Bali for the changes. So sometimes a little bit of back and forth with the debugging is necessary. And now you can kind of see it really looks great. The poster showed up in the right place, the buttons are still here, the levels are still working, and so on.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Um, let's change the font color of the title in the main screen to gold as an example. So this is right now white, and let's get that changed to like a more gold color to match the rest of this aesthetic.
Hmm. This is interesting.
Okay,
What
great.
can I know?
Yeah, so that was a little bit of example of how debugging kind of looks like. So to give you another idea, uh, of what potential debugging could look like, before I had the level editor, the way that I handled telling uh, the AI and Bali where I wanted different elements. I mean, at first I got it to generate its own levels, but then once I realized that I needed to kind of be more specific so that the levels were harder or easier than what it was that Bali had generated for me, I actually added debug access numbers visually on the screen to help me tell the agent exactly where and what changes to make. So yeah, I had said add debug x and y axis coordinates to the level thing so that I can check if the placement of all objects is correct. Okay. One second. Let's go back. So let's see. We should be able to go back to, now let's say we want to go back to the main menu screen. And this is, again, for Arya's question. So Arya, right now you can see that this is the last version which was there. And you should be able to, oh, there's no changes that's been made here. Let's go back to another scene. Let's see, maybe this one. Nope. Oh, I don't have a good example of changes that it made right now. And like to roll it back. This is still the older version of the file. So actually, that was a good question because, okay, let me try rebuilding and see if it does show up. Yeah, okay. So we do have the coordinates here. They're not great, but for now they're enough for us to kind of see what the debug could have looked like. So let's take a look. Yeah, sorry. Go on. Were you going to say something? Oh, yeah. I had a lot of back and forth that I had to do with the Z index for Godot for my game as well. Uh, Interestingly, that is something that I had to deal with for this specifically, because you should be able to climb ladders, but ladders need to overlap on the platforms below the ladders. Uh, Actually, what I ended up doing was telling Bali to make a separate JSON script that had all the levels in it, and it would keep the ladders overlays separate from the game grass and mud and key and all the other overlays. And that way, since the ladders were now separate from the others, it could then read different parts of the JSON file, and like these entities would all be overlaid at a higher Z index than the base level when it saved different levels that were generated, if that helps. So sometimes it helps to kind of like debug in that way, as well as like trying to figure out how to explain to the AI to separate these things out. It makes it more scalable in the future and helps with all these debugging problems that you might have. Hopefully that helps a little bit, Arya, with your Z index issue. Sometimes it's just thinking about it in a different way from like a game dev side of things, rather than trying to get it to save everything in one place. Separating things out which are at different levels in a JSON file really helps. And then it can render the first level, then render the second level, then render the third level, and so on. And that way overlap kind of gets dealt with. Anyway, going back to the rolling back, let's go back to the play screen. Oh, so I have a question from Ghost KWeb that says it would be good to have some editor abilities inside Jabali Studio to tweak something here and there. So you do have editor ability. So this, for instance, is the Godot, the GD script that's been written for my game. And if I want to change something, I can always go inside and make a small change. So, like for instance, if I wanted to change this to like 1, I can make that change, I can save that change, and then that is rebuild the game, and that will now be the edit that was there. I don't want to make that change, so I'm going to revert that again. But you can make changes. Oh, you mean the typical Godot scene view? Yes, we are kind of working on that. So you'll see that there are layouts here that you can see. Uh, but yes, I do understand what you're saying, in the sense that we don't allow you to have the scene editing functionality in Godot that you normally see. And yes, that would definitely be helpful. And it is something that we have in mind moving forward, on something that we need to add. Yes, absolutely. I do see your issue, and I'm definitely keeping it in mind that this is something that we kind of need to provide access for as well. So we are working on that part of it. It is still in beta, this game editor, so we are kind of adding these features as we kind of go ahead. For now, though, I found that I've not really had a lot of difficulty getting Bali to make a lot of the changes in the scene files myself. I can even specifically say, like, move things to different scene files when I want to like make the project more modular. uh, for reference, Ghost K Web. So, for instance, I think the example that I showed earlier with the card game that I made, I really did want to make the card game very, very modular, so that I could add to it in the future and kind of add more games in, as well as like use different components across games. So, like the seating arrangement component for like Indian card games is the same, but then this one is very specific to like the Black Queen Indian card game. Minimum bid might be something that a lot of bidding games have, but not all. Number of decks and so on. And so what I did is I did kind of push Bali while I was working on like making things very, very modular. So I would say things like, let's see. Let's see. I think I have some examples here. Yeah, so like here as an example, I said, can you move the top panel on the play screen into its own script file or into its own script file or into its own scene file so that I can use it across games. I want it to be more modular. I also want to make sure that irrespective of what I pass to the top panel, it will show those values. So I can, like, for different games, give it different things that need to show on the top panel in terms of the score or the bid or the game rules or so on, or even help buttons and so on. Even like if you look at the seating arrangement was very modular, the number of players is modular. So I've moved everything to its own scene file as well as its own like GD script file. So you can kind of see here it's been like making different changes to all these files. And I think that is a good thumb rule in terms of how you can like make things into their own scenes, even though you can't yet in our editor see those scenes. But that way you can ask Bali, the copilot agent, to make changes to a specific scene without altering other things. Does that help a little bit, at least for now? Does that answer your question? Okay, great. I'm glad. Yeah, Eva, absolutely. Let's take a look at creating a game from scratch here. So let's take a look at, and let me think of a really quick idea for a game. So since we were just talking about card games and I kind of have that at the back of my mind, let's do like a game like Hanabi. So let's say, Bali, help me design a game design document for a co-op deductive card game. I guess it's a social deduction card game inspired by Hanabi. I don't know whether it knows what Hanabi is, so I'm going to say a hidden information clues card game.
How do I, if I may
I
ask?
want the
Oh, sorry.
rules of Hanabi, but I want the theme to have a New Year's fireworks at, I don't know, in New York theme, and original UI, visual direction. The game should support 2 to 5 players where the player will be one of the players. That's difficult to explain in English, but I think it will understand me. And the rest are AI players. As a note, while we're typing this out, we are working on multiplayer support right now, adding multiplayer support. So in the future, I will probably change this from being like a single player AI game to more of a either a local gameplay or where you pass the laptop or the computer or the phone to one person at a time and then they see the cards and so on, or to like an actual multiplayer game where different people can kind of log in on the same game and play. But for now, just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to keep it just like a single player game. Then let's see, make sure you include the core game loop and mechanics in the document. Also the win, lose, Hanabi conditions, rules of the card game, main story about the New Year's side of things, art direction, audio direction, AI team, player notes, and implementation guide. Add a short tutorial description as well. And compile a list of assets that may be required for the game. Okay, so as a thumb rule, it's a good idea to start with a game design document when you're making any of these games. You can ask a Bali to include whatever it is that you want in the game design document. So in this case, I want to make sure it had like these Hanabi game conditions and card game conditions, or core game loop and mechanics, but also like art direction details and so on. So it's come back with something. It's like, okay, New Year's Eve in New York City, people are doing their fireworks crew working together to launch a spectacular midnight show. Oh, I really like the theme. That sounds great. That's kind of what I want. Or will miscommunication fizzle the festivities? Okay, great. So this gives us like a backstory for Hanabi that I feel like the card game doesn't always have. So I like that. Each player holds cards facing outwards. Okay, great. So it's given the main rules of how you play Hanabi. You build the cards in order. You can either give a clue or a card, discard a card or play a card. Cool. All of this is in here. We have art direction about New Year's Eve fireworks. We have audio direction, so maybe some crowd ambience sounds great. Fireworks sounds okay. Short tutorial description, asset list, and implementation guides. Uh, Come up with a name or a title. Let's say a title for the game. I like Midnight Spark too. Yeah, so you can also just click on one of these options that show up at the bottom, and that'll kind of like go with one of those. So it shows a title. That's great. It now has this entire game document. Uh,
If I may
Sounds
ask,
good. I like the GDD.
Sasha,
Let's start with building a Godot 2D game using this game design document.
Sasha,
Okay, so now Bali knows that we want to definitely build a Godot 2D game. It is going to give us a couple of options. So right now it says you can do a Godot. The top two options are the Godot and Phaser 2D versions of this project with vibe code. There are other options that you can always choose. So you can see that you can choose like a third person or a 3D game, and it's probably picked these because it's thinking like, let's generate fireworks and stuff. But I really just want a very simple 2D card game. So I'm going to go with the recommended 2D project game. So it's going to start creating this game from scratch. While it's doing that, because this is going to take a little bit of time, uh, if you have any questions, I can continue answering those. Okay, so
Hey,
ghost.
Sasha.
Yeah,
Sasha, I think Arya had a question. Arya,
yeah,
did you have a
absolutely.
question? Or maybe not.
yeah.
Oh, Eva, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Eva, I think if your question was the help me create my first game, that's kind of what I was trying to show you right now. If you're
No,
talking
no,
about the multiplayer game, as I said, we're working on multiplayer features right now, and we hope to be rolling that out soon. But at the moment, we do not have a multiplayer option. I will say though, I
Hey,
have been,
Sasha,
yeah,
I think Eva wants to speak. Let's just give her some time.
sure.
Eva, go ahead.
thank you. How about adding audio rig and modeling to animate the character, the 3D model?
Hello. We only just heard the last few words of what you said. I think you were muted. Can you say that again?
The auto rig, adding bones to the model that we want to, that we upload to the engine, or the studio.
Are you
How
asking
do
if you
I,
can?
yeah, how do I animate my model for my game?
Right. So the Bali is able to create some basic animation for you in both 2D and 3D, which you saw in the earlier games that I demoed, with like the platforms moving and rotating and like lava effects and so on. If there are models that are 3D models or 2D models or images that you want to upload, or sprite sheets that you want to upload, you can absolutely do that. You can go into assets and then upload any assets.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
We have a little upload button here. You can always upload
No,
your
I
own.
don't. I don't have the upload button. Can I see my
Uh,
screen? Just
yeah,
to show
absolutely.
you.
Feel free.
Uh,
So if you go to assets, can you go to assets?
no, I cannot.
Uh, one
It's not
second.
showing anything. It's not doing anything. I need to
So
do all of this. I don't know
I'm
how to
having
do that.
I'm having trouble seeing your screen. Uh, it says
Oops.
Eva has minimized their application. I don't know.
Wait, hold on, hold on.
Now I
Wrong screen. Wrong screen.
okay. Yeah.
It is better.
Okay. So you're still creating the game. You've not reached the next step yet. So if you say finish with AI, you're
Huh?
using, so in this game that you're creating, you've chosen a template, the character life simulation template that we have. So it's
Yeah.
still generating all the assets that you require for this game. So if you say finish with AI, can you click that button?
Okay.
Yeah. And just say finish with AI. Yes. So once it's done finalizing the content, then you'll see the same screen that you see on my screen. And then
Oh,
access
that's how
everything.
it. That's
Because you
how it's
chose
works.
and that's also because you chose a specific template to go with.
Wait, then I need to do all of this.
No, it's because you chose a template. Bali already knows, like for the character life simulation template, it needs to generate all of these things. It's already generating all of this for you. So as it comes back with the data that it generates, it'll start building your game for you. And then once it's come back with all that data, you'll actually see the same screen that you're seeing on my side of things.
Okay, how? So, if I want to create a Dracula love story in 3D or something, how do I do that?
I mean, you can either build it off the current character life template that you're editing right now, or you can just build it from scratch and say, I want to create a Dracula live love story over here, and then like help me build a game design document from that, and then kind of go
Yeah.
with editing the same. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
Hold on.
Okay. In the meantime, I can show you what I came back with on my screen, because that's still running, or it's still building that. But yeah. Uh, Let me go to the next question in the chat from Ghost K Web. Another thing that bugged me a lot was the icon that is set for the game. Can we prompt it and refresh it and hope for the best? So, Ghost K Web, when you say the icon that is selected for the game, I don't know if he's still in here in this conversation, but is he still here? I don't know that he is. Pushkar, I think he may have left. Okay, great. Well, just to answer that, you can change the icon that is generated. So, like, if you look at the assets that are generated, not right now because this game is still generating if you're still looking at my screen, but if you look at the assets once they're generated, you'll see that there's a poster image and an icon that is generated for the game. You can always go to the icon asset image, put in your own prompt and regenerate that image, or come up or even upload your own icon for the game.
Now I can see everything. Look at my screen.
It's still generating your game for you. It's
Oh
still, like
yeah.
it's still working on the left. Can you see it says writing your game design document? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still working on making that. So only once it's done with everything, you'll start seeing your game show up.
Build is out of date. Wait,
No,
what?
that's the build of this particular game is out of date. That's because it's literally making changes. It built the game, then it's making changes, now it's building it again, then it'll make changes, then it'll build it again. So you'll keep having to it
Ah.
will keep rebuilding the game as it starts generating more and more assets for you and more logic of the game and the scripts.
Ooh.
Okay,
Yeah.
going back to, let me just look at the chat. Okay, if anyone has any other questions, Prajwal or Mohan, feel free to either unmute yourself or ask the questions in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. Uh, while we're talking through questions that Eva has as well, you can also, if you're still looking at my screen, you can kind of see that the game that I was building, the Hanabi card game, has reached a point where
Yeah.
it's now starting to generate assets for me. So it knows all the different assets that it needs to generate. So let's say generate and see what it comes back with for all these assets. It's quite a large list of things.
But is this free to use, or do I have to pay?
We have different tiers of use. There is a free tier of use as well. It
Huh?
will limit you after a certain number of assets and a certain number of conversations with the Bali agent, or a certain number of edits. And then there's like different paid tiers that you can also upgrade to at some point. At So yeah, there's definitely more details about uh, our different pricing tiers on the
Uh-huh.
Jabali.ai website. So feel free to
Because
take a
I
look.
do have money. I do have money, and I want to support you guys. I want to become a professional on professional tier or something like that.
That sounds great, Eva, and we really look forward to having you as one of our game creators.
Yeah, because I like it.
Thank you. We're really
Mhm.
happy with the product, and are really proud of our work as well. So, to give you an example, if you're looking at my screen, these are some of the different assets that it's been generating for the game. So it came back with a
Ooh.
skyline. I quite like the skyline. It could be, I
Yeah,
think
that's
some
a
of these
lot.
spots are a little too glowy. So you can click on the regenerate button, which is right there, and it will kind of regenerate parts of that skyline. Okay, I really like this skyline, so let's keep that one. I don't like this card back design, so I'm going to ask it to change what it says on it. So one is it spelled New Year's Eve wrong, which is, and it has the year completely wrong. So let's go with for uh for the card game. I forget what we chose the name of this card game as, but the Hanab fireworks card game and New Year's fireworks card game, dark blue, champagne gold, all this. Okay, let's try changing it. Oh, this is so much better. It doesn't know what year yet because I've not mentioned that. So let's do for a 2025. Oh, no, we're in 2026 now. 2026 New Year's fireworks card game. Okay, 2026 firework card game. Let's say uh, add fireworks and confetti. Let's try again. Mm. Okay, I like the one. I like the blue one. I like the green one. Nice. It added a white one. There's a 5 that's been added. I do not like this player avatar, so I'm probably going to regenerate that player avatar. Let's see what else it's got in here. Probably going to regenerate all these player avatars and add more women. I like the clue token. There's an error with the card back. Okay, let's try generating that one again.
Ooh. Hey, look. Look. So cool.
Yeah, I like your. I like the room that it generated for your game. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Gives you vampire hotel vibes.
Yeah. But how it's gonna be?
Like
It's
that.
gonna be in visual novel, but in 3D, right?
No, so you chose a 2D character life simu. Oh, I actually don't know if you chose a 2D template or a 3D template, but it will be based on that. I
No,
think right now you chose a
I
2D
choose
template.
the Godot.
Right. So if you chose a 2D Godot template, then you'll get a 2D game. So you'll have to still generate a character image that you want to show on the game, have like a little area for chat and so on and so forth, and kind of go from there. Okay, let's take a look at some more assets that my game needs as well. Okay, just making sure that we're on time. I think we're kind of reaching the end of our masterclass session, unfortunately. But you can take a look at what we've been able to generate so far. It's pretty cool. I like all the assets that we've gotten for my card game. So that you can see the number 5 firework looks really cool. Uh, and so on. Let's say
It's so
done for.
cool.
So this does really look like the Hanabi game cards, which I like. So they have the vibe correct. And we can generate some more later or like swap them out later if we decide on changing those out. But I do think we are possibly coming to the end of our slot here.